Yeah, there's no other option, and obsession is what you need.
Yeah.
Is it healthy? I don't know.
Yeah.
Is it you know, on my personal life versus business, I can tell you, like, do I think entrepreneurship is 100% healthy? Probably not.
Yeah. Hey guys, welcome back to Unleash Mindset. Today I'm extremely excited to introduce my incredible friend, David Zhao. Today we're going to talk about his story, background, his entrepreneurial spirit, activist to the community, and we're going to have an incredible dining experience. As I think about it more, I'm getting hungry as we speak, but love to introduce you my friend, David Zhao.
Nice meeting you, everyone. I'm excited to chat. Thanks for having me, Rick. Pleasure. Good to see you again. Yeah.
Yes. I know how we met was really cool and interesting. It was back a few years ago when we both spoke on the same stage in Vegas. Do you remember that stage, the meeting, and how did we even spark that conversation?
Yeah, absolutely. No, it was amazing. Asian Hustle Network,
Yep.
Great organization. Shout out to Maggie. Amazing that we got to share a stage with talking about the upbringing. And I remember that's probably what you probably in your hundreds of speeches, but for me, I just started to do more active speaking gigs, or call it. Well, for that one, I would just do it for the community. And yeah, it's really amazing to see entrepreneurs in the Asian Hustle Network to build and share a lot of similarities. Upbringing, I call you big brother, right?
Yep.
At that time, I didn't have a kid yet, and we're at the time probably have 12 restaurants at the time, which always at that time it felt still it's a big milestone, but fast forward 2-3 years, you're on our cap table for a few of our restaurants. So it's amazing how a serendipitous meeting at a Asian Hustle Network, and we ended up, you invited me to speak at another event, which was awesome. The largest stage I ever spoke at the time as well. So I think that just shows the serendipitous parts of life where you just go out, get out there, meet people, and see where it could be. I got to do that more often. I feel like I'm sometimes in my head and building too often and not meeting enough people. But this is the beauty of meeting someone and seeing now. Now we're chatting probably 2-3 years later.
Yep.
Yeah, time flies. Yeah.
Yep. Incredible relationships. And for all of you that are watching, David is an incredible speaker. 3 years ago, he was on the stage and his story, background was amazing. And I couldn't help but ask him to speak at a financial conference, which he shared on an AAPI stage and talked about his upbringing and your background growing up in China, coming to America, and just trying to live the American dream, struggles and how you built it. And like you said, from 12 restaurants, today, how many restaurants do we have?
Today we have 36 restaurants.
Nice.
By the end of this weekend, it'll be 37. We're opening in Atlanta. We're sitting outside right now at NIKU X. We can run some B-rolls. I'm sure we'll see later of NIKU experience, Chubby Nori.
Yep.
So it's really exciting for sure. And I think the best part of why people should watch, or why I even do YouTube content or content in general, is my story, the fact that we're able to sit in this beautiful car, and your story as well. We come from not much, and it is possible. It's very hard, and I'm not gonna put it out there like this is easy, you can get rich. I hate it about that, get rich quick and all this. That's not the process I'm here talking about, or we're talking about. I think it's about building. I want to inspire others and share and just show the vulnerability of what it is like to do this life. And it's not easy. There's ups and downs, a lot of downs, a lot of problems.
Yep.
And that's like boxing. You're gonna get punched a lot. And people will see you win. They will cheer for you right on the stage when you win the champion fight, but they're not gonna be there every day when you wake up at 5 a.m., 6 a.m. to train. Same thing for entrepreneurship. Most of the days, nobody will see. But I wanna show the content so that people that are going through the same thing, whether they're building their career or building some parts or a fitness journey, that nobody's watching, that is the journey that you have to enjoy and appreciate and enjoy that process.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And speaking of like your childhood, tell us more about your childhood. I know you came to America at a young age and you always inspired to live the American dream, but also make your parents proud. So I'm not sure getting into the food and beverage industry is what most of our parents want and wish for us to enter. I remember you saying this on stage because growing up, I remember our older generation was opening up Asian restaurants.
Yeah.
And then the current generation, our age, is probably looking to get into a corporate world,
Yeah.
maybe be a doctor, lawyer, an engineer. What made you pursue this path and make a difference?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. Because I think people constantly, especially when I was younger, would tell me, hey, don't do this,
Yeah.
don't do that. I took a gap year before college.
Wow.
And my aunts and uncles would be like, why don't you go to Penn? You got into this Ivy League school. You're the first in your family to go to an Ivy League, and you're my cousins, all this first to be an Ivy League. You should do it.
Yeah.
And it's a great honor. Why are you taking a gap year? You can do that later. I still decided to take the gap year. That's because I was able to come in early in my life, and my mother gave me a lot of love, but she wasn't able to assist me and, spoon feed me into the college or getting me into this. So everything I had to do, from filing her taxes to setting up my own bank account for the first time, by telling her to be my custodian, telling her how to set up an account, calling credit card companies, filing a credit card application for her when we moved to the U.S. together, living with my cousins in one household. So that journey of challenges, people would say, I could have blamed my mother and be like, hey, we came to America and my father wasn't here. My father was working hard in China to support us, and I lived with my cousins. I could have blamed like, hey, you know what? I couldn't get into good school because my parents didn't know even what SAT was, didn't know who the connection or what to do with a mission office or what to do. You can make a lot of blame and be a victim of life. But for me, looking back, every single challenge that I had with my mother not speaking English, not able to do a lot of things, helped me mature earlier or find my own unique ways. And that's been a big part of my upbringing. And that's been a big part of, to answer questions, how I was able to get into the food and beverage business when everyone else is like, hey, I don't think you should invest in a restaurant. I think you should get into tech. You should go get a consulting and banking internship, which is what everyone does at Wharton, where I went to school. But I decided to, before college, to try out my entrepreneurship journey, to work with restaurant owners for their marketing businesses. And through that journey, I was able to realize you can have your own unique path. And today's world, more than ever, you can certainly have a unique path. You can be a content creator and make millions. You can be a professional gamers. So I'm sure for our kids growing up, it's going to be a very different world with AI and everything. We must change the mindset. Our generation before us, the parents would tell us doctors, lawyers, and I don't even think those are the most stable job. Tech. They didn't even think about engineers. Software engineers probably the most stable job now with AI and everything. I think being a doctor is extremely challenging. It takes a certain type of passion. So the world's changing. I think our parents give us, and our environment, our seniors give us experience that they want the best for us, but certainly they might not know what the best case for us. So yeah, to answer your question, a lot of people told me not to do something, and they were right. It's very freaking hard. The restaurant, food and beverage, we didn't make money for the first 2-3 years. Mm-hmm. So they have their points, but it doesn't mean with any industry, it's very, very challenging. That's what I would say. So.
Yeah, and I recall when you spoke, you mentioned your initial business was not food and beverages. In fact, you did something different, unique. You were looking to make a profound impact in the Asian community by coming out with opportunities to help other Asian business owners, which then ultimately landed you in food and beverage. Can you tell us more?
Yeah, this is after high school,
Yep.
right? And I'm a kid, but I was dressing in suits at the time to make sure I look older. I was 18 years old. And we're not far from here. Actually, 35th Street was our first office. We bartered the space, and we would go out to restaurant owners, clinics, law firms, and say, hey, we'll help you build your online presence. We'll build your website, and we arbitrage the labor costs. We have people in India, Bangladesh to build out the websites. We have a firm here to do customer support, service, and project management. That went into Next Factor and New Media, which now has an office of 40 people in New York, helping a lot of API community restaurants, the most famous tea brands, bubble tea brands, probably around 1,000 restaurants and tea concepts and beverage concepts in New York City alone. So that continued to scale out. But during that process, I met my co-founder, and he was 18, I was 18, and he was interning at Little Lamb in Flushing, which is a hot pot space.
Yep.
There was Mr. Chen, who was the owner of the restaurant. He was interning with him, and I was pitching to Mr. Chen like, hey, I wanted to pitch our services, $1,000 a month. And that's how we met.
Wow.
In that meeting. And that's how life works. I think the luckiest part of this whole thing, it's not about building. I think everything else is we went through a lot of challenges through grit and other reasons. But the luckiest part of all of this is I met a partner that have the same work ethic, that same long-term belief, we never had any issues on a core basis, and that is the most challenging part. It's like also in relationship, for this work relationship, it's extremely lucky of me to be able to find a partner without much due diligence. I trusted him. I wired my entire first year's tuition. I saved up $40,000 into Chubby Cattle. I didn't have an operating agreement, no contracts. You say, hey, this is 10% of the business. All right, I wire you. And I thought it's going to be a really easy journey. And that's how we got started. And surely it wasn't an easy journey at all.
Wow. It's just the path was created in a sense where timing and relationship is everything. So after you wired him the money and you guys started Chubby Group.
Yeah.
You know, for example, Chubby Group, genius name. Tell me about how do you guys come up with the name Chubby Group?
Yeah. So we did Chubby Cattle was our first concept. There was no Chubby Group yet. Okay. Chubby Cattle was the first concept because we focused on quality beef. And at the time, the most quality beef we can afford and think the customer will pay for was Black Angus beef. So we offered Black Angus beef in the restaurant. We were offering high-end hot pot, high-end at the time being $35, $40 per person average check, which is, you know, the standard hot pot now. But at the time, our competitors were doing $12 all you can eat hot pot. And it's about just cost saving. The Asian restaurant owners only competed on cost, right? You have all of the fast casual Chinese restaurant, the QSRs, back in the days, the mom and pop takeout, and it's always about cost. No one ever focused on this is fine dining Chinese food, this is fine dining Asian food. It wasn't a thing in that generation. So even when we started in 2014, that there was no fine dining hot pot. Hot pot was frequented mostly by Chinese people, and they just wanted to have the cheapest, you know, a hole in the wall. Chinese food is supposed to be cheap. And this is where we changed. We're like, let's make this elevated, premium seafood, Black Angus beef. We call it Chubby Cattle. It rhymes, and we use data analytics to see if it's like, not rhyme, it's alliteration, easy to remember. So it was just an investment. We thought that would be a great product. The amazing thing is when we built it, we ran out of budget. We had a lot of administrative issues. The lease was the worst terms ever. We had to pay key money. Basically, the landlord didn't believe in us. They didn't believe in a hot pot concept because they didn't even know what hot pot was. They asked us if it was a weed concept. We shared a story. So a lot of challenges in that. But the only thing that was great was that our creative idea, people loved it. Not only did Asian, Chinese customers came, but Asian customers came, and non-Asian customers came for the first time because they heard we're using Black Angus beef. It's another way to have steak. And that was the beginning of why we're like, all right, even though it wasn't making money, we're losing money, even though the feedback was great. We continued on. We put more money into the concept to fix the ambiance. We learned how to control food costs, labor costs, but all of those things we learned along the way, and it just a lot of failing daily, weekly, monthly on learning about everything in the F&B space. And that's something that I wish I went through this journey. I probably took the first 5 years on learning and before scaling. And if we had someone that was a bit more experienced, we would have definitely saved ourselves that 5 years. And I would recommend that people, like when they're starting out, there's another way. You can work with a growing company and be a part of that growing company. You know, I could have been maybe the marketing director or business dev of another fast-growing F&B concept and learn from them and understand the system, then go to do our own. But when we did our own with all of that, we learned the hard way. We weren't profitable, but it's also, you know, you don't have much time. It's the stake was higher.
Yes.
So you learn faster. You know, it's like you don't have a life jacket, and every day you're either raising capital, you're building the new location, you're trying to generate profit, you're making sure the customer is happy. A lot of things were happening, and we're failing a lot. But the key thing that kept us together is that we continued to create this product that people loved, and slowly, surely, we were able to generate profit and start to scale. Probably right after COVID, it was really started to scale our concepts.
That's incredible. And I would share with you, you mentioned a very interesting point. I was talking to another business owner recently who also is in a Chinese industry where their focus and their competition was mainly about price. It was about price. In fact, the industry is construction industry. So he was sharing me his struggles when it comes to hiring people with some of the tariffs that are happening. Supplies are getting more expensive, and he had to let go of some of his team members. I asked them, I said, well, because the margins are thin, because prices are getting very competitive and your business is struggling, have you ever considered increasing and raising your price? And in his immediate feedback, well, we're a Chinese construction company. People know us as cheap. affordable. If I raise my price while all my competitors keep their prices low, we're not going to get any business and we're going to be out of business soon. So I said, well, why don't you not challenge on price? You challenge on quality, quality and service, so that your repeating customers will come back to you because they know and believe how dependable you are when it comes to delivering the result. And unfortunately, there's so many Asian businesses that fail to understand the concept, but you and your partner at such a young age, being the pioneer of what you're doing, was able to build it. What made that click? That today, unfortunately, still so many Asian business owners do not understand. What was the difference?
I think the key here is, instead of thinking about price, we're missing one variable, is about value. What value are you bringing in this industry? So when we started out with fine dining, when we started out with Chubby Cattle, we brought this new niche, this new value of premium hot pot experience, and then we opened X-Pot, which is real fine dining. I would say fine dining hot pot experience at $150, $200 a person, and you have top tiered customer experience, ambiance, and the best quality A5 Wagyu beef from around the world, flown in, A5 Wagyu from Japan, M9 Wagyu from Australia, and seafood from around the world. So for us, we start to understand you have to, just like in construction, there are companies that are not just looking for price. They need to have, we're in construction for all our projects, I manage them. So there are a construction company that have systems in place that big landlords trust, that they're scalable, they're systematic, they're using construction management software, they're using permit management software. There are Chinese GCs, just like you said, that's just only about price, but you end up going to have a lot of change order, no organization, the landlord's not going to be happy, they're going to make a lot of mistakes. So you as the client, even me as a client for construction companies, have to evaluate, will they deliver this on time? What is the quality of work? What is the ROI for us for saving $10,000 here, but we end up going to pay more rent because it's slowed down? So what you have to win in is value. So now we have a lot of concepts that's all you can eat, but we're changing what all you can eat mean. We're putting A5 Wagyu in our all you can eat. We have king crab in our all you can eat, right? So it's no longer about just, let me sell the cheapest barbecue experience. And there's a market for that. There's a niche for that. There are clients that do great. There's fast casual concepts that focus on just, let me do processed food and do as cheap as possible. And that's my advantage and edge. But I think as the customers get more educated about the food ingredients, what we try to provide is absolute undeniable value. So you can't just be expensive and have no value. And that we've gone through that, like fine dining without the value proposition, way harder concept. But you can have fine dining ingredients with very affordable rates and drive significant value. And value is the key that we want, right? Like Tesla sells, when they started, they had the Roadster. And it was about the value that they create. There's a missing niche of this electric car, high speed. There's this fan, people loved it, even though it was extremely expensive, like 100K plus to get a Tesla Roadster. And then they built the Model 3, and it's still significant value with the Model 3. So value for the people that want what they're getting is key here. If they think it's worth paying for, that's where you have to get in any industry. If they feel like your price point is worth it for them, for their purpose, that's who you target and that's who you make your product mix with. And so that's something that we learned along the way, to pivot and adjust. Same with your industry as well. Are the clients willing to pay for the management fee, right? What value you bring? You're going to give a lot of, taxation advice. You're going to give a lot of advisory that they can't do themselves, right? So they have to figure out, it's not just about, let me lower my management fee. It's about, what can I bring you and ROI do I bring them in any line of business?
100%. And it's so impressive that you say this, because price is what we pay. Value is what we get. But truly, many of the most successful entrepreneurs and organizations in every industry is price to value, ultimately then become experience. Tell us more about the Chubby Group, Chubby Cattle, NIKU X, all your business. Because from my understanding, although you guys started Chubby Cattle, now the group itself have multiple business chains, names, concepts. Love to hear more.
Everything's under Chubby Club. You can download the app on the App Store. We have
and that's your logo, right?
Tell
me about it's so cool what you said about the logo. Tell us more about the logo.
So Chubby Club, you have 4 C's, right? Because Chubby Club, but these are also seats at a table. So our mission really is about bring people together in this day and age where loneliness is one of our biggest disease, I would say. And with technology, everybody on their phone. the loneliness epidemic is a real thing, and you can go search that. So for us, we want to bring people together, whether it's dinner at a restaurant or a rooftop bar on Chubby Club concept, to bring different cultures together. Division is also a problem, in political division, economic division. So, but when you start to eat different cultures' food together, you start to realize we're not so different.
That's right.
Right? We can eat domestic Wagyu made in USA. We can eat A5 Wagyu made in Japan. We sit down, we enjoy the different food, understand the cuisine. Then you realize all of this political nonsense out here of dividing people and countries is a man-made construct to split us and hold those in power rather than allow people that work hard through merit. So anyways, before we get out of on the philosophical
this
thing,
is great.
I think our long-term mission has always been to bring people closer together through our food and beverage experiences. And I think we've done a good job at that.
Of course.
When we started, there was 99% Asian clientele for hot pot or barbecue. Now you go to NIKU X, there's probably 5% or 10% of Asian customers in our concepts, because that's the general demographic of New York City.
Yep.
So that's just to show people, the more you understand another culture's food and their entertainment, their movies, you start to realize that's every culture is pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's full with love. Everybody have the same thing. They want family, love, and great things. And it's not about, China's this, Japan's this, this country's bad. Every human being all want the same needs in life. They want security, they want this, they want love. And that is the logo of Chubby Club, is to bring people together on a table from different parts of the world. Yeah.
So uniting us all through
Yeah.
food.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, I love that concept.
Yeah.
And tell us more about the concepts,
Yeah,
all the
absolutely.
different type
So
of businesses and chains.
As we scale now, we just finished our latest round at $350 million valuation.
Incredible.
For 36 restaurants now, right, by this weekend. And the key here is we're changing to talk about we're changing the way food and beverage is done. Just like you talked about before, hey, when our parents came, they did restaurants, right? The immigrants, first generation immigrants did restaurants. The barrier to restaurants, why they did it? Because the barrier to entry was low. They competed on price. They sacrificed their own wage to make sure they get, that's essentially their profit. Every family restaurant owner, they basically didn't pay themselves, so that whatever they made, that's their profit. The immigrants got together. The mom, the uncles, aunts all work in a restaurant. They all got lower pay, but in exchange, they're getting, the profit, which is really their salary for how hard they work and how long they work. That's how Asian food and beverage started in America. They undercut their own wage to build that. That's how mom and pop business is. We think that we can give a lot more value to customers, and just like we talk about pricing, this value proposition hasn't been achieved in the food and beverage space. There's no loyalty to whatever restaurants you go to right now. There isn't really a loyalty system. At Chubby Club, we want to reward you at every single concept around the US and soon around the world that you go to, whether it's barbecue, whether it's hot pot, whether it's skewers, dumplings, tea, whatever it is, you get rewarded for your loyalty. That way, there's less failure rates around the restaurant. By having this loyalty, there's less turnover. You get better rates with supply chain. You get better rates from the landlord as a high credit tenant. And this allows more value to be processed to the customers. This is why we're able to offer all you can eat A5 Wagyu in NIKU X, because now that we have 35 restaurants, we go directly to the ranch, we partner with the ranch, we own all the cattle, we prepay for all the cattle, all parts of the cattle, instead of just buying one part from a middleman afterwards. That type of huge savings allow us to provide concepts like this. In fact, people are so shocked at what we can deliver in value by being vertically integrated and horizontally integrated with different concepts. They're like, well, you must be selling fake meat. That's how crazy it has gotten, that in the recent months, people can't even imagine, how are you able to, it must be false advertising, it must be genetically made meat, it's crazy, which is honestly why we're doing what we're doing, is to showcase the value. And we're excited to showcase the warehouse, how we're sourcing the Wagyu, so people can understand better of what we're doing to bring this ultimate experience to people. Just like how when you go to Costco to shop with a membership, you get these amazing prices. People love Costco. Mm-hmm. We want the same thing for Chubby Club when they are part of our ecosystem, and they will understand that they can get amazing value at any of our Chubby Club concepts.
Amazing. And quite frankly, everything you're saying, I personally experienced. So we talked about it briefly earlier. A couple of years back when we first met, don't know if you had it all planned and designed, but at Asian Hustle Network, after the event, we went to one of your restaurants, which is X-Pot in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And I would say I am not a huge hot pot fan. I'm probably one of the few Asians in the whole world that don't love hot pot, but going there, it wasn't about the food, which was absolutely incredible, probably one of the best hot pot experiences I ever had, but it was once again, the service, the attention to detail,
Yeah.
The people that worked there, just the greeting. I remember one of the things that really stood out was one of my colleagues said, "Hey, can you show me where the bathroom is?" Your team walked her to the restroom, and that's incredible service that I don't see at all in today most modern restaurants. So you took what unfortunately is a food and beverage missing piece, and you elevate it to almost every one of your restaurants like a Michelin star experience.
Yeah.
At a Michelin star experience, but not at a Michelin star price.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then just like you said, serendipitous moment. Everything happens for a reason. We continue to connect. You spoke at the event. Then you were, and I still remember when we spoke and met, I said, "Hey, David, tell me where are all your restaurants?" And you named them all. And I'm just like, this is completely BS. You have no restaurants in New York. And at one point you worked and lived in New York.
Yeah.
And I said, "David, it's about time we bring it to New York."
Yeah.
And you said, challenge accepted. And within a year, you sent me the business deck. And quite frankly, I believed in you.
Yeah.
I believed in your products. I didn't really need to know about the profits, but incredible profits already. But the best part is, I just love your passion and your commitment to absolute excellence.
Thank you.
So,
thank you.
Yeah. Tell us more.
Thank you so much. Yeah, to bring on to that about customer experience,
Yep.
this is where food and beverage is no longer about the price.
Yes.
I think food and beverage is a low barrier to entry. It's super competitive. If you're not bringing value to customers and your price points and the food costs and the products, you need to make sure that ambiance. Like when we started, we're not vertically integrated. We couldn't buy cows at this scale. We have $30 million of Wagyu sitting in our warehouse. We can't do that when we just had one restaurant or 10 restaurants. We were only able to do that this year with 36 restaurants. And without that, how do you compete in this very competitive space? And I think this applies to every industry, right? Whether you're in real estate or you're in consulting, whatever it is, you have to figure out what your industry niches are. And for us, we had to compete. It's a misunderstanding of you just competing on how delicious the food is, because that's not going to be scalable. You have to compete on, sure, how delicious. Do you have a niche for your food? What is the customer experience like? How's the customer service in food and beverage, the ambiance, right? The marketing team, the construction, all of these things that you don't think about when you build a restaurant that you need an edge in. This is where we're also going to help all the restaurant operators around the country. We partner with restaurant operators for joint ventures. If we like a brand, we'll onboard them to Chubby Club. We help them with their construction, with their materials. We help them with signing leases. We help them with our customer base, loyalty customer base. All of that, when we started, we didn't think about. I thought I just invest in this restaurant. I'll sit back, be passive. I do some marketing for them. It'll be profitable. But no, not at all. Like all of these things, you have to have an edge in. And that's the beautiful part about food and beverage. I'm sure in real estate as well, right? I'm sure in financial advisory as well. Like it's not just about this product that you sell and what your clients are buying, but it's all around how do you beat your competitors. And in food and beverage, there's a misunderstanding that it's just about the food. It's about a chef. Certainly it's important. I would say maybe 40% is on the food. The rest of the things that a lot of people did not think about, like rent to revenue ratios, things like that, we didn't think about. That's why you need a team, just like a sports team, of different individuals. Like I don't cook. I don't know how to cook.
Yep.
I'm a great taster, I would say, but it's not, when we test products, it's not just based on my taste either. We type in random samples and taste the demographic, have the demographic taste the food. I'm doing all the back office, the administrative work, all of the financing, investor relations, but all of these things are needed in place. So when you're operating your business, you need to make sure partners are complementing each other. I think we have a great teamwork in that sense. My partners are running the culinary direction. My CEO is running the customer experience we talked about. And one last thing about the hiring people that really care, I think the biggest thing, the most important thing is, in order to hire and retain talents in any business that you're taking, you need to be growing. You need to be the leader that you're building an umbrella so big for them that they stay under your umbrella, rather than building their own concept.
That's right.
A huge part of retaining talent is that you got to build a platform so big that they realize that this is something that we built together. It's bigger than what they would do in another firm or by themselves. So that's something that I've learned, and this is why the more we build, the more talented people we get, the busier I get, and it's crazy. And I start to understand, like, as you build this empire or you build this ecosystem, it gets tougher. I would say my day-to-day, more and more things are pulling me in a different direction, and I see how people are saying more money brings you more trouble in some sense, because the bigger you manage, now I'm not just dealing with one restaurant operation, I'm dealing with 35 problems. So imagine I have 35 babies instead of one, and 25 under development right now. So certainly a different animal. And now, when you raise capital, you're not just missing, oh, let me go find 30K, 40K. Now it's like, how do I find 3, 4 million or 30, 40 million now as you scale? So the problem severity gets larger, but it's also exciting. I treat it with the balance of being appreciative of what we have, and an amazing team we have, the customer base that support us, the investors that support us, and be able to play in this game and make an impact and change the way food and beverages. So that's what brings me joy and accountability as well to do what I do every day.
And for all of you, I'm sure you could sense the passion and joy David has as he's sharing his story. Not only do you exude this type of incredible passion, your team does. And you said something earlier that I think it's so incredibly powerful, but unfortunately, not all entrepreneurs understand. You kept talking about your team. I think too many successful businesses, when the founders, co-founders, the equity investors achieve a level of success, they feel like they're good. But you're right. If you are successful, while the rest of your team may or may not feel successful or understand the path of the future and how you're growing with them together to achieve what is the ultimate calling. What inspired you to think this way, which is absolutely necessary in today's modern world, but so few business owners actually understand this?
I think your appetite has to be greater. Your vision has to be greater than your team. For them to, I think our team members probably think my co-founder are always insane. Our goals are never satiable in some way, which is the interesting part of a balance. Like, I should be appreciative of life, of where we're at. I can be appreciative and sit back, but it's almost a psychological disease for entrepreneurs, is that never enough. You do have to have that never enough concept. You have to continue to scale to be able to have talents that come with you. So one interesting thing is, well, I think when we started the ad agency when I made, for $2,000 a month, $3,000 a month out of high school, I wanted to do everything. I am the CEO of Next Factor. I want to do everything, and I think I can do better job on the web development for my clients. My team wasn't talented, and I'm wearing every hat. And then today's me, after you created a product, now I'm begging, please, I'm finding people. I'm blessed to have people that are more talented than me in these different fields, right? I just met April, like director of marketing, wants to start to let go and start to allocate. That is a big pivotal point. And now I'm literally, my job is to find talents and that can do a better job than me in technology and AI and Chubby Club, like building out the tech. I want team members that can replace me. So it's very drastically different from when you start out. You probably will feel like your talents are just not good enough for what you're doing. You can do a lot of different things, but as you scale, you will need to find talents, but you're more capable of finding talents because they see your vision. You have to prove yourself that this is the ship that they want to get on. And it's very hard to find those talents when you have no budget, when you're just starting out, and you need to get people to believe in you at that time. So as you scale, the blessing part of it now is you get better and better talents. But to answer your question, you need to work harder than all of them. I don't know any CEOs or C-levels or entrepreneurs that work less than their team.
That's right.
I don't see a successful one. I mean, that's why probably Elon Musk, yourself, like all of these mentors I look at or big brothers I look at, they work hard. And it's not, the Instagram shows this rich is about passive income life. I don't know why it is. I hope that I change that dynamic through our content. There's no such thing. The only passive income is when you're already, a millionaire, billionaire, and you're just, buying product and getting dividends, sure. But to build something worthwhile, that's not a passive thing.
Yeah. And there's a quote, if you want to go fast, go alone. You want to go far, go together. And what you said earlier is very interesting, especially in food and beverage. You said that you don't know how to cook. But you got into food and beverage. And you would not believe how many entrepreneurs we work with. They are what is at first W-2. They gave up their 9 to 5 thinking life is easier, but they exchanged it for a 5 to 9, 5 a.m. to now 9 p.m. But then as they're scaling and growing their business, they're building a business, but being self-employed, doing everything. And they stay as a self-employed small business owner because they forget that truly the vision is to scale and build an enterprise
Yeah.
and not do it yourself
Yeah.
by cloning yourself, hiring people, delegating smarter than you so that you could do 1 + 1 = 11 versus 1 + 1 is you and kill yourself. And
Yeah.
because time is a finite resource.
Yeah.
So I've been talking to a lot of business owners about this. In fact, I was recently talking to a barbershop owner.
Yeah.
And he was saying to me, Rick, every day I have to cut X amount of hair. Running this business is very difficult. And I simply said to him, why don't you just hire another barber to replace you?
Yeah.
And then he was like, well, it's not that easy. This is a second generation business. My parents were cutting hair. So now that I'm inheriting the business, I have to cut hair. And I said, well, simply you shouldn't. But he said, why do you think it's so hard? And I said, well, one simple reason is look at the name of your business. The name of your business is actually your family's name, which is an extremely foolish concept, I think, with most small business owners. The old days, they would put their name on their business because it's an ego thing, right? They're like, okay, finally I built my own business, it's their own ego. But then if your name is on your business, then fundamentally everyone thinks that you are the best for the business, you have to do everything else. But I think it's such an important lesson that you learned and you've shared with everyone, that to be successful in business, truly have freedom, is not do it yourself.
Yeah. To truly have freedom, I mean, there's financial freedom is probably when we sell Chubby Group. And when I honestly, probably another 5 years, I do think, and we talked about this earlier before the camera rolled, it is a tiring thing.
Of course.
I think there is a way to be sitting on the board and advise, and there's a better work-life balance, truly. But currently, people that are operating on the C-suite, we don't have work-life balance. This is a dream team. I tell our team members, this is a dream team. This is not a family. Dream teams, if you don't play like LeBron anymore, we retire, including myself, including my co-founder. There's going to be a day when we're honestly, when you're exhausted or you're behind and people are just better with AI, with technology, that please take the ship and continue to, take us to the moon. But currently, we're still in, I would say hopefully we're essential to the Chubby Group empire and enterprise. So we continue to build. But at a certain point, that is when freedom is, when we, really sit on advisory and have work maybe 20, 30 hours, take meetings I want. I think that is true freedom that we'll get to. But currently we're accountable. We're accountable to all of the team members, accountable to all of the investors, accountable to investors that are friends, right? Accountable to, and that type of pressure is not just motivation. This is, your persona, your reputation, and you need to make sure that this is successful and build towards that. So yeah, I want to take away the misconception that entrepreneurship is just the easy way to reach freedom. I think when you exit, yes. And when you sell the business or sell a portion of it, sure, there's a huge reward. But the process to get there is a lot of sacrifice on your mental space, on health. You sacrifice from your time with your family. And, I don't know your retirement plan. If you do retire one day, I'm sure your life all of a sudden, you can do a lot more things. But currently, this is not just a job, it's a lifestyle.
That's right.
And most people don't understand that. And it takes there is no work-life balance. And this is when people come in, and the people that we're recruiting, if they come like, hey, how's it, I appreciate work-life balance, I'll tell you, this is not the, work-life balance won't make you change the world. Any company that you're working at that's changing the world is not about a work-life balance. It's obsession. Just like in Olympics, you want to be in the Olympics, it's an obsession. And this is what we do here.
You talk about obsession. I always talk about motivation, discipline, then final version is obsession. Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, Michael Jordan, you don't need to motivate them. You don't need to inspire them. They're above and beyond discipline. They're at where they are because they're obsessive and there's only one goal, and that's to pursue their passion.
There's no other option. And obsession is what you need. Is it healthy? I don't know. Is it on my personal life versus business, I can tell you, do I think entrepreneurship is 100% healthy? Probably not. But is boxing healthy? Probably not. Being a pro athlete, is it healthy? Probably not. Being a best musician in the world, best comedian, they hold a lot of pain. And they hold a lot of challenges and this is where we want to share to the world that it's not all roses, and it's not, I'm sure you go through the same, with clients. You deal with angry clients. As you scale to 1,000 clients, there will be some bad apples, there will be some good apples, but we don't showcase that. People only see the wins on Forbes. They only see the recognition, right? But it is a very challenging life, but it is also rewarding, just like being a champion of a boxer, just like when you now have 36 restaurants. I am proud of it. But the sacrifice is that day to day that most people won't see. Probably only my girlfriend or mother of my child will see, and see that every day. And my partners and team will see, but your friends just can't imagine the sacrifices where everyone else can be having fun doing this. I'm at home at 2 a.m. working every day for the past 10 years.
That's right.
Yeah.
They see the results, they don't see the journey, they don't understand what's required.
Yeah.
And I think some of the best businesses, there's always that person that changes not just the business, to change the world.
Yeah.
You said something about in 5 years, potentially exit and retiring.
Yeah.
From my experience, I think ultimately that's not going to happen for you.
Yeah.
I've seen so many eyes in my career. I've had 10 meetings a day, 50 a week, 200 a month, 2,000 a year. I've had over 30,000 meetings.
Yeah.
You have obsessive eyes.
Yeah.
I'm confident that in those 5 years, if and when you decide to exit, your body has an opportunity to choose to retire, slow down, but your mind won't. Because you're going to just realize that, hey,
I'm going to get bored just playing tennis and doing boxing.
Boredom may or may not be the case, but you're going to really chase another passion, whether it's being a father. I know recently you just had a beautiful daughter.
Yes.
Tell us more. With Melissa, you had a beautiful daughter. What's life like being, a father?
Yeah, I think it is a underrated thing. I think it's underrated because my belief before having a child was that, oh my God, it is so expensive. It is so, you won't get sleep. You will go through a lot. I mean, people will be like, oh my God, now your father, do you sleep well? I think it's manageable. It's very similar to running, I wouldn't say running a business. I think the ROI is much higher. Than building a business. You get the joy every day. I'm sure it's the same, right? There's a lot of joy. Will you lose some sleep? I honestly would say my girlfriend loses more sleep than me in some sense. But we divide our roles in the family. That we've communicated and figure out what is our role in raising this child, and I need to make sure I spend an hour quality time with the child, with Eiley, and also it's quality time. But at the same time, she's gonna be full time taking care of Eiley for now. So I think, and that's very, very challenging. Even as a full-time mother. So to anyone out there that's a full-time mother and have a full-time job, that's, to me, that's insanity. That is pretty insane. So thankfully, Mel is full-time mother, which I think is an unbelievable challenging job as well. And I think the society doesn't put a value in that, and I think there should be value to be put in being a full-time mother. So there's a lot of value in that. So we have discussions about that as well, of what that value is. And we're equal in that. Just because I'm bringing financial support to the family, she's bringing the support to lead the family, right? She's the CEO of the household. So I'm an investor, right? So we talk about this, and but overall, to answer the question, I think it's underrated in how much joy it is. And if you can allocate resources and you can plan properly, I think it's very doable. And we didn't even, we didn't go through traditional route and of having marriage, then having a kid. We have a kid and we can have a wedding. We're down the line. I think I would have done it sooner, to be frank. Yeah, I think I could have done it sooner if it wasn't for the societals, like, hey, you have to get married first, you have to do X, Y, and Z, have this expensive wedding and do this process. I think having a child is a really rewarding thing. And for a lot, it will center. I'm certainly spending more time at home in the past 3 months at least. Because of Eiley, and it's an intrinsically just a joyful thing to see, and I'm sure it gets even better. I think it's a thing that gets better and better once you start speaking, right? So, yeah, it's kind of cool.
You're just you sharing that story about Eiley and being a father. I can already sense just a new world that you're exploring, and that's why in the next few years you're going to realize you're evolving as we speak. And you're right. Being a parent, to me at least, is the hardest thing I've ever done. There's no way to prepare for it, no way to plan for it. And all the unsolicited advice that are out there given to us, they don't know that every child, every parent, every person is unique. But the ROI is priceless. Just like, just overall, and now you have your first daughter. And, they say, I truly believe in the cycle of life. I think a lot of us think that having a child is for us to take care of them. But what if having a child was to remind us how to truly live a precious life? So whenever I look at my kids, I'm reminded of, enjoy life, enjoy the moment. And this is what we live for.
100%. That's beautiful. New Year's, I took Eileen to Vegas, and it was, she was 2 months old.
That's great.
It's
Bring her to the
crazy.
blackjack table. That's cool.
We went to see anime together.
Oh, amazing.
And at the Sphere, and it really did make me at that trip realize the beautiful things in the ordinary. Sometimes we chase so much extraordinary things. I want to be extraordinary, do great things, continue to build. But when I look at Eileen, it does teach me that the most joyful things, the things she laughs about, are things that we should all laugh about. And these are things that are priceless. So underrated, and I would have done it sooner.
Yes.
About this whole fatherhood experience. And it just started. So I think it will continue to grow. Yeah.
Truly, 100%, 1000% agree. Stay-at-home mother, stay-at-home father, stay-at-home parents, whoever it is, kudos, blessings to you.
Yeah.
I do believe you and I can continue to do what we do because of the incredible partnerships we have at home.
Yeah.
Without them, we don't have peace.
Yeah.
And we cannot continue to do what we're doing.
Yeah.
And as our kids grow older and they rewatch videos such as this, they inspire us to be the best versions.
100%. Yeah. I think it's throughout this process, I also realized, wow, like, the mother of the child go through a lot.
Yes.
It's my first time seeing it. It gave me a lot of more respect and admiration to all the mothers and my own mother of what it means. I mean, we weren't there when we were babies, but to see that certainly is a lot of admiration and respect, and truly become a family after that. So I think it's, I hope more people share these messages rather than like the challenges of the kids, which is challenging, but it's something that's beautiful.
Yeah. And it's so inspiring. And I love what you said. You did not take the traditional route.
Yeah.
Where I think it's terrible that life is taught that we have to take a certain journey.
Yeah.
Getting married, having kids, buy our home at a certain age.
Yeah.
Those are all nonsense, right? We live our best life.
I agree.
So yeah, inspire the viewers. Like just the fact that you and Mel had your daughter.
Yeah.
And what does the future look like?
Yeah.
For just whether it's family, for business, for life in itself.
Yeah, well, for business, we're building 25 locations this year. So this year, 25 more. We already opened 5.
People try to build one location in 1 year. The guy's building 25 locations, and we're hanging out and having a great time.
Yeah, every day I'm. Sometimes it's like you're just on this rocket, and it's kind of crazy that we're here today. We're gonna drive by maybe Skewers later to see another location that we're opening. We have 7 locations now in New York. Right? New York alone.
Inspired by that talk. It's like, hey, you gotta bring something here for our New Yorkers, fans, and here we are.
It's crazy. So on the work life, it's exciting. We've never opened that many locations. I mean, we had 12 locations last year, and it took us 9 years to build.
Wow.
So on the 10th year, we're building double or triple what we were building for 9 years. That just shows how it takes a long time for that exponential curve to hit. It takes, it could have been 10 years, and then we do, but it's incredible on the work side. So I have to appreciate, and I love the team that's behind it. It wouldn't be possible, like you said, to do this without the team.
Yeah.
So many more team members that's super talented on our team that allows us to build at this rate right now, and partners. And on the family side, I'm excited to continue to experience what fatherhood's like. And I'm going to take your advice, what we talked about earlier, of spending time, quality time with the mother as well. Spend more alone time possible. That's something that we certainly think is an important part of that. And then health-wise, always, and this is a big component of my content, what we create is about entrepreneurship is a taxing thing.
Yep.
How do you stay healthy? We're both wearing the whoop, right? Keeping ourselves accountable on sleep. This really is about tracking your sleep, making sure you get enough steps in daily. And diet is a big part. And this is why we're in the food business, to do premium ingredients. We don't want to do processed food. We want to do high-quality ingredients at an affordable rate. So we're excited also to bring out some incredible QSR concept that is on the $1 sign scale, probably like Chubby skewers, right? A5 Wagyu skewers. That
A5 Wagyu skewers for $1.
For $1 for Chubby Club members. So, things like that. We want to bring delicious food at an affordable rate, at great value, not price, great value for people. So we're very excited about that mission as well, and we'll continue to be healthy on the personal side and inspire people to be healthy. And I've changed a lot from 28 years old to 30 with a mentor I had, also a nutritionist I met, and has changed my life about how to be healthy, and including sleeping well. And I think this is a new trend. Wellness is certainly a new trend as well. Mm-hmm. Sleeping well, eating well, and not drinking as much alcohol now. All these things are a big part of the transition of living a healthier, more fulfilling life. Yeah.
That's great. And as we talked about, like family life, and we talked earlier about just how to spend time with our partner.
Yeah.
I think for me, when I first got married and as we were pregnant with our first child, I would never forget the best advice, which was unsolicited. Rarely unsolicited advice is good advice. But my mother-in-law said, once you have a child, most couples spend time on the child. When in fact, that's actually one of the biggest mistakes people do. Because when you spend so much time on the child, you stop remembering and you start forgetting how the love actually had the child. So she said, your child is going to be safe, is going to be healthy, and he or she is going to grow up with an incredible family as long as the parents spend the most time together.
Yeah.
So sharing with you and sharing with some of the audience, something that I would say is instrumental in my healthy, loving marriage, and I share this with as many people as possible, is what I call the 5K, 5 a.m. walk. So every morning we wake up at 5 a.m., especially in the Northeast when the weather permits, my wife and I do a 5 a.m. 5K walk. It takes generally about an hour. The reason why we do this is because before our kids wake up, and we have 3 kids, we find peace, we hear the birds chirping, and we really embrace each other's company and talk about our day the day before in case I have a late night, she's already in bed by the time I get home, or we talk about the future together. And I cannot emphasize enough, not only is it healthy, 10,000 steps, those are rookie numbers. If you do 5K, 5 a.m. walk as much as I do, those are rookie numbers, but that's why you and I have to eat as much as we eat to stay, otherwise we're all skin and bones. But, that is just incredible. And the fact that you're learning this is going to be so powerful as you and Mel raise Eiley.
Thank you so much. Yeah, no, I'm going to take that. Maybe I can't do 5 a.m. They're not kidding, by the way. We looked at his whip earlier to see if he's actually running at 5 a.m., waking up. That's amazing. It's discipline itself to be able to wake up 5 a.m. and respect yourself enough and love yourself enough to wake up that early and treating a relationship. Because that's what, to have a long, loving relationship is really about investing the effort, just like anything else. You have to put in the effort. So definitely we'll take that as a lesson out of this and then spend more quality time alone as well. And have Eiley to be part of our journey. And that's why we went to Vegas. We're like, we still have to live our life and see the world, and Eiley will be along the journey and see what their parents do. I'm sure if they see loving parents, she'll grow up in the, that's what we want. I'm sure what we want is them to have a loving life and a life with grit, all this, but doesn't have to be our generation, previous, like what success means, right? So
that's right.
It's a new generation, yeah.
Final question. Since we have a lot more to shoot and we're going to have some great food and content at all the restaurants and share with all of you. But what does the future look like overall? Yeah. If you were to tell us just not only the future of the business, your family, but one question oftentimes I get asked is, when our children grow up, what is your expectation of Eiley?
Yeah.
Do you expect her to go into the food and beverage industry? Tell us more. I know you went to UPenn Ivy League, right? I'm not sure how many parents would be okay with child going to UPenn Ivy League, then going to food and beverage, right? But let's tell us more.
Yeah, first, that's fantastic. Yeah, no one probably did food and beverage in my entire class. And when I said we own restaurants, but it was amazing because I did it during college already. So it was a cool thing that students can go to our restaurant and go eat together. We have liquor license when we were before even 21, right?
That's so cool.
So it's like, it was kind of crazy. Like we own restaurants that sell liquor, but I can't drink it myself, right? And so my expectation for kids, because of my upbringing, they don't have to go to Ivy League. I think we needed to go to Ivy League or having an amazing school because we never got there. It was like buying a Gucci bag when we didn't have the money. So like when the first time you buy it, it's a milestone for you, right? Like today we're sitting in Rolls Royce, it's a milestone for you. You don't, no longer, if you're your kids, like I'm sure maybe your kids, because they sit in the Rolls Royce, they don't have that, like I need to get this, so it feels this way. For us, these materialistic things in a way is a reminder.
That's right.
That your hard work has paid off in a dream car when you're a child that you wanted, you could get now, right? That's proof. So go.
What was your dream car?
Oh my God, talking about car, I ran a failed business, Next Auto Club, because I love this Lambo. Okay. And when I was younger, and we ran this car business with my best friends. Yeah. Failed utterly. Yeah. We did great with the marketing. I actually was standing in Times Square to sell, like, want to take a picture with the Lambo? Like, I'll take you for a ride for $50. Like, I did all of that. And so I bought a lot of different cars, had issues with fixing, didn't understand insurance much, didn't understand the mechanics, so we lost like $300,000 in the business. The cool thing is I got to drive all these different cars, and it's like traumatized by it. I don't own any car now. And Uber mostly, and be able to work on Uber. Yeah. But
Didn't want to interrupt. Yeah, 100% agree. I was like, yeah, my dream car was an Acura TL.
Yeah.
Kid you not. That to me was like the best dream car if I ever had it.
Yeah.
So we talked about that, but yep.
Yeah. No, so yeah, I mean, like high school, like my first, like I made $2,000 a month. I spent $800 on a Mazda Midas
Wow.
I wanted to feel like my work is represented, because no one in my family could afford or even drive a sports car or say we'll pay sports car. So I think for our kids, they have to understand my vision for Eiley. This is maybe Eiley will watch this one day, and for the kids.
Eiley, this is for you.
Yeah.
For you, Eiley.
Be a loving person.
Yep.
And have a lot of love in their life by being a kind person.
Yep.
And hardworking, because I think hardworking gives you a lot of joy that's underestimated. So it doesn't matter if it's hardworking, whether she's into music or into sports or into business or nonprofit, whatever it is, I think she needs to have a purpose. And as human beings, we need to have a purpose. So it's no longer a monetary success thing or stable job. Like, she could be anything she wants, but she can't quit. She has to be able to feel value and feel confident in what she does and her capability, not for her intelligence, not how smart she is, but how hard she works to overcome those obstacles in whatever area. And then have a lot of loving people. And that's all I expect. No Ivy League school, there's nothing that I need to, show. Being through college, being through that, I know it's all branding to the next step, like Forbes 30 and 30. It's amazing to be recognized. And then you realize that's a reward, and people will respect you for that. But your work should always showcase what you do more than any awards or Ivy League or college that you go to. If you get stuck on graduating from Harvard or Penn, wherever, and that's like your biggest thing, then you've probably peaked there. And everything else, I think, no rewards can take your internal happiness and bring that. So you don't need that external validation. At the core of it, I do think it's the ordinary things and building value for people around you in the community and building value for your family. That's what gives us joy that no rewards or awards can achieve. No cars can, even though we're sitting in this beautiful Rolls Royce, right? So, yeah.
100%. Love it. Congrats to everything you're doing. And let's, considering I know how healthy you are,
yes,
let's drink some water.
Yes.
So,
cheers.
When we met, it was 100 million valuation.
Yes.
Now it's 350 million valuation.
Yes.
And then road to a billion and beyond.
A road to a billion.
Road to a billion beyond.
Cheers.
Thank you for making a difference in the community, changing lives, sharing with us all your passion. And I know you're going to change this world forever. And Eiley, if you're watching this, look at how incredible your dad is, your mom is, and hopefully we're going to create a better world so everyone can live happily.
Thank
Cheers,
you.
brother.
Cheers.
Thank you, everyone, for watching this episode of Unleash Mindset. Today, you all heard from our great friend and guest, David Zhao. So for all of you, and David, how can everyone find you?
I'm available on It's The Way on Instagram. I try to answer everybody on entrepreneurship. They can also book intro calls even.
Yep.
That's something that I want to do more, is to really mentor the next generation as well. So yeah, that's how they can find me online, and hopefully I can see you at one of our restaurants. Yeah, at Chubby, any of our Chubby Club restaurants.
Show up to the Chubby Club restaurants. David's always made available and incredible person, and I know all of you that are watching this, and there's going to be more content coming soon. You'll love this episode. Thank you.